You know, it's interesting, I'm looking at all that I'm supposed to share, and I'm not gonna share all of it because I just think so much was said tonight. So much heart was said. You've heard so many stories, and I know that's something that you've all asked for. Share with us the stories, and I think you've got an abundant amount of stories. So I want to share with you briefly is what I shared with some of you at Leadership. There was about 50 there at Leadership, and there's about 400 here, so 350 of you basically didn't get to hear it. Some of you maybe heard it online, but oftentimes people ask, how do we find our artisans? And you know what's amazing is I think God finds our artisans. God brings us who he wants to connect with. And my husband is a pastor, and he said to me, I want you to go to this conference with me for pastors. And I said, you know what, I can't. Trades of Hope is growing so fast. I've got too much work to do, I can't go. And then I prayed about it. And the Lord said to me, you know what? You are supposed to be there. You have to go. I thought, okay, I'll go. And it's nice to connect with him every once in a while when he's doing his thing and I'm doing my thing, so it's nice to be able to go. So I went, and I was kind of roaming the halls, and I was introduced to this gentleman, and he said he was a pastor in Pakistan. And he said, well, I'm a failed pastor. And I said, what is a failed pastor? And he said, well, I started a church in Pakistan, but the Taliban put a bomb over my head, and I was shot at, and my brother was shot at. My brother survived, but the church didn't. Because there's a lot of persecution over there in Pakistan, and you actually, if you try to share your faith, you can be put in jail for life or death for trying to share your faith and share what you believe in. So he said to me, but here's the cool story. My wife Canwell, she's amazing, and you should have seen him. He just lit up as he talked about his wife. And he said, she's amazing. She has a degree in theology, and she said to me, Mushtag is his name, Mushtag, we need to start a women's center. Because there are women all over the place here in Pakistan that live in the slums. They can't read, they can't write. Their choices are to become a maid or a prostitute or beg. And she said, for many times when you're a maid, you actually end up being a prostitute to the men in the home. And she said, we can do something about this. Let's start a women's center. And the coolest thing about the women's center is they're teaching them how to read and write, which is the first step of empowerment. The problem is it's also dangerous. Because when you give somebody power, there's this idea that you're taking the power away from someone else. And in that country, men prevail. You are defined by the male in your household. You don't go out without the male in your household. And it's a sad story for most women in poverty in Pakistan. And so Canwell said, we need to do something about it. Well, as I'm talking to Mushtag, and he's telling me about this, I think, well, that's wonderful. So you guys started this program, Women's Center. And he said, yes, we sew there. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool, you sew there. Well, what do you make? And he said, well, that's the problem. We don't make anything. What we do is we teach them how to sew, and we hope that they can make their own clothes. We hope that they can maybe go out into the community and get a job, but there aren't enough jobs. He said it's very hard because some of these slums are such desperate places that oftentimes some of these women, the most they can do is make 7 cents a day. And you all probably heard that. And can you show the picture of the slums where he was talking about? There's a picture of 2 women outside of the slums. And he proceeded to tell me about these slums, and he said, I live in the slums, he said, but I went to these slums and I cried when I got there, he said, because it was so difficult. He said, my father lived there, and they would bring all the trash from the community and they would bring it to this slum and they would burn it there. And the people are dying from inhaling the fumes. And they are bond slaves to the land because they were born into that. And sometimes if there's an illness or a wedding, you borrow money from the landowner, and then you are stuck owing this money for years and years. And if you die, what ends up happening is your children then owe it. And he was heartbroken over this. And he said to me, I would love to be able to free these women from the land that they're enslaved to, modern day slavery. And I remember as he was talking, just having that, those moments you have where like the chills go up your body, because he's sitting there telling me this. And I said to Mushtaq, do you know what I do? No. I said, why are you here? Why are you here? If you're a failed pastor, why are you here? And he said, God told me to come here because I'm supposed to connect with somebody who's going to help me to be able to help these people be free. And I knew that he was an answer to my prayer. God, why am I here? So God can link us together, and God has linked every single one of you here tonight. You are called here. God has a great calling on your life, and it is so much deeper than you know. And we hear all these stories, and I love that you're hearing them because it goes so much deeper. It goes to the core of the human existence of wanting freedom. Who doesn't want freedom in their life? And so I said to Mushtaq, I co-founded a company that we help women out of poverty all over the world in desperate places, out of slums and sweatshops and the sex trade. And Mushtaq's mouth just fell open. And he said, do you think that we could make something for you? Do you think they could make more than 7 cents a day? And I said, so much more. And his eyes filled up with tears. And then, of course, in my crazy excitement, I just wanted to say, and yes, we'll take you on as an artisan. And then I realized, I really can't just say that. I have other founders I have to talk to. And although Gretchen said, you know, we always basically say yes, we have to be really careful, because as you heard from our artisan development, we can't say yes to everything. Because when we say yes to everything and we have not grown our compassionate entrepreneur base, then what happens? What happens is we just got an email recently from one of our artisans and said, what's going on? We know you guys are growing, but we're down. Our sales are down. And that was devastating to realize, because what we realized is we're so excited about bringing on these groups. And as Elizabeth talked about, and Chelsea talked about, and Gretchen talked about, to see lives change and transformation. The problem is if we bring on these groups without bringing on CEs, what's going to happen? We don't have enough sales to support it. So what happens is this group starts to go down in sales, even though this new one that we're all so excited about bringing on, we're selling more over here, we're selling less over here. And with fair trade principles, we have a responsibility to make sure, like Lucas said, sustainability. So as much as I felt like everything, I know I was called to be there. I know that God said, this Pakistan, you're supposed to bring on this Pakistan group. You are supposed to help them. I knew that God brought me there. I knew that that was what we were supposed to do. We had him in our office and our team. We all knew that we were supposed to do. So what did I do? I went to leadership. And I brought it out to all of the leaders, and probably 50 of you that were there in this room. And I told you the story about Pakistan, and I challenged you. And I told you, I believe we're supposed to bring them on. You are the key to their freedom. Make a commitment with me. Make a commitment. We need you to bring on 5 new CEs to be able to bring these 500 women out of this slum area that is going to kill them, that they've been indebted to. And I was so excited when every single woman stood up. I was so excited. I had so much hope. But the reality is, we asked for every woman to bring 5 QCEs on. And there were 50 women in that room, and I said, 50 women, if they all bring on 5, and I'm gonna share it with the 5,000 compassionate entrepreneurs, and you know, we all have the heart, right? So it's gonna happen. Do you know how many women brought on 5 QCEs? 3. And I didn't want to share that tonight, because I'm all about, like, let's celebrate, but let's be honest and let's have reality. What I realized, and what we realized as a team, is we didn't give you the tools you needed. You needed tools to be able to bring them out of the slavery. But we gave you the tools this weekend. We gave you the app. And let me tell you, God gave you that app, because that was impossible to get done. We're giving you the restart. You know what that's for? You all think, that's right, we're excited about it, but you all think it's for your business. I got news for you. It's not. It's for them. So I'm sorry that we put that challenge out there without giving you the tools. That was maybe irresponsible on our part, maybe a lesson, right? That we have to get better. Trades of Hope has to get better, and we are getting better. We've got the app, we've got the restart, we've got the training tour, this spring training tour. We are not just doing all this for nothing. We are doing this to change lives, and we need you guys to make that commitment with us. And one of the things that I want to put on your heart right now is I want to put on your heart a story about Nazreen. Nazreen and her daughter, Kiran, they live in these slums. And Nazreen is a part of Mushtaq's sewing center now. And this is how she got a part of it. She was married to a man and had 4 children. If we can show the picture up here of her and her husband. Her and her husband. There's her and her husband. Well, her husband died and left her with 4 children in these slums. And she was a bond slavery there because what happened was the bricklayer that they worked for and that they lived on his land said, you now owe me $5,000, and if you cannot pay it, then I'm going to sell you and I'm going to sell your daughter into marriage. And her daughter's 13 years old. And they sold them into slavery with the brickyard owner. And this couple, Mushtaq and Canwell, that started the center, they heard about it and they thought, we cannot let this happen. We cannot let these 2 people be trafficked. So in the dead of night, they went for a rescue out in the middle of the jungle. They waited there for hours in the most dangerous place. She thought she was being trafficked again. This was the 2nd time she was trafficked with her 4 children. She showed up, and this is Mushtaq pulling her out of the back of the truck to rescue her. Go to the next picture. The heartbreak, well, what they do over there is she thought the kids said, are we going to be beaten again to Mushtaq? And he said, no, you are safe, you are loved, and you are cared for by God. And he put what's called this shawl over her, and the shawl is a symbol of friendship and love in their culture. And so he put that over her. The only problem was, go to the next picture. The next picture shows she was there, but there are only 3 children. Where is the 4th? Kiran was sold into marriage at 13 years old. And it didn't end there. Mushtaq said, we have to go get her. So again, the rescue took place, and praise God they were able to get her. Go to the next picture. This is all of them reunited. Go to the next picture. This is them in their new home as they've been part of the center. Go to the next picture. This is them outside of their home. You can go to the next picture. They were given an oxen on the land, and then somebody took the land away, so they don't have the oxen now, but as they're trying to minister to them, go to the next picture. This is their mother, who is thrilled that they are safe again. Go ahead and go to the next picture. This is Nazreen. This is what freedom looks like. Is there one more picture? Is that the last picture? Okay, stay on that pic. Just stay right on that for me, please. So this is why I am going to hold you accountable, and I am going to challenge you. You showed up here for a reason, and I believe God called you here. And guess what? It's not about jewelry. It's not about scarves, and it's not about bags. It is about changing lives. That's what Trades of Hope is about. That's what we are called to do. And it is not easy. It is difficult at times. It is scary. I am terrified being up here. I have no notes, but God just said, get up here and share it. I know you're scared when you walk in homes. I know sometimes you're scared because you know what? There's a lot of other things you'd rather do with your life. But if God called you here, there's a reason. And it's because we are called to make a difference in this world using our gifts and talents and the potential that God has given you. So honor that potential. Live up to that potential. And I want to bring down the 3 women who, without even the tools, they were the ones who brought on 5 or more QCEs, because this matters. Before I bring them on, I want to tell you something. I made a commitment because I knew God called us to make that commitment. And we, at Trades of Hope, Gretchen, me, Chelsea, and Elizabeth, we said yes. We bought that group in Pakistan sewing machines. We bought that group material. We bought that group a generator, and we said we are committing to you to help you. And they took those as a commitment from us that we were going to move forward with them. But I can't make that commitment. Gretchen can't make that commitment. Chelsea says we cannot make that commitment without you. We need you to be committed.